Good evening, guys. Hot day today. We have CR on the panel already. And we have Prepper
Hello.
as well, and Tammy from Rebel Canners. Good to see you guys.
Hopefully everyone can hear me.
Yep. And we had earlier someone, Vedasto Vlog, popped in and put up a comment. But we'll see if he pops up. Yesterday, okay,
Yeah,
good to see you, ma'am.
GT?
And we
See you
have
there.
GT Junior, Grove City, Alaska. Good to see you, and welcome.
Virtual fist bump.
Yep. I need to do this first. How has your week been, guys? I hope your week has been pretty good. Mine has been quite of a odd week, but it works anyway. And I need to check that channel out. GT Junior, Grove City, Alaska. Yeah, I'm subscribed to him. Good to see you, brother. And I do like.
Oh, look who's. What?
I do like this. Guardian popped up. Good to see you, brother.
Hey, GP.
How are you doing?
And of course, Furnace Veterans here too. Right
yeah,
on. Right on
PV
too.
will pop up soon enough. He always do.
I should get the red carpet out for him.
Yeah, and GT Junior, growing Alaska. I am subscribed to a lot of channels, and the problem is I always forgot which one I'm subscribed to. That's why I check, and I was obviously subscribed to him, so that's good. Yes, you can, Ortega, no problem. Hey, PV, good to see you, brother. I wondered when you should pop up, and you did. And I will, you know the drill, PV. You know the drill, PV. Come up here as usual.
And I think I know the drill too. I should get some food. I have a feeling we'll talk about it. I got a feeling.
Yeah, and when we're waiting for PV to pop up, yeah, when you speak of the devil, here he is.
Ta-da!
Hey, PV, good to see you.
Hello, folks. How you doing? Right. CR, what red carpet are you talking about?
Just.
Well, yeah. Thanks, Shadow. I'm honoured as always to be here.
Yeah.
And Guardian says he's from Texas.
Thank you, Guardian, for the super sticker. I appreciate it. And we have Shannon Barrett in the house. Good to see you guys. And good to see you too, ma'am. Well, today's topic is a great one. And this is a suggested topic from Warren RCG. And the topic is wants and needs. So that will be interesting. Because that could be a little bit of the both ways. But we get into that in a moment, okay?
Is anybody having connection issues? He's got a Shadow. You seem to be coming through as if you're in a fish tank. Some of the time.
Okay, that was weird.
Maybe it's me.
I don't know. It might be individual connections, but if I sound like I'm coming through garbled, it's not just the way I speak. It's just let us know.
Oh, okay. FYI. Okay.
Does it sounds better now?
Yeah, it's on and off, but yeah, well, no, it's just probably the, I don't know, temporary thing.
Yeah, it might be. Yeah, Guardian, I will give you the link. There you have it, Guardian. Feel free. And I'm gonna say what Shannon said here. Hey, Shadow. In Gothenburg, 200 miles southwest of Stockholm, there are selling 29 plots of land with prices starting at 1 krona or 9 cents US per square meter. Yeah, I heard about that.
1 krona per square meter.
Yeah.
So 1,000 krona per square kilometer. That's a good price. Depends what sort of land is it. Is it can you do anything with it, or is it just a infertile rock or pile of a boggy
Hey, Nick.
area?
Good to see you, brother.
Nick Muller, hello. Shannon
Hi,
Barrett.
Nick. Hi, Shannon.
Idaho Garden Girl.
Hi, Idaho Garden Girl.
Right.
Yesterday Ortega,
yeah.
Yeah, a bit of a wide variety in the audience again. Some international viewers and listeners and
gardeners.
Good to see you.
Inputs. Yep.
Okay. Idaho doing her household chores. Yeah, you have to do that too.
Yeah. It does need to be done.
Yeah, but anyway, I think it's time to jump into today's topic: wants or needs. Well, first of all, I want to mention this when it comes to this topic, and that is that wants and needs. Well, there are things you really need, but there are wants you also really need, but you can't afford it. So that's another point. So yeah, you have to agree with me about that one. But wants and needs. It's can be the other way too. You have a lot of wants, but you don't need it.
Yeah, I think preparedness, whether it be short term, small scale, or long term, large scale, whatever it is, it's not. We've indicated this before. It's not as simple as it sounds. There's many branches and arms to it, and it's not cheap either. If someone wants to be fully prepared, fully planned, etc., then you just cannot do it all. Everyone wants it now and here, quick and easy, but it's not. It's a long term, quite an expensive process to go through. I mean, you can have the simple things, fine, but if you want to be fully prepared, you've got to also delve into the long-term planning to meet your goal, and then meet or have some sort of long-term management cycle to achieve that goal and maintain that goal, because gear out there at the moment, it's just suddenly rocketing up in price. Hey, Guardian, rocketing up in price, and I don't think anyone these days can afford to just fork out money left, right, and centre to, be at their sort of golden solution.
Hey,
you've got
CB,
you've got to plan it, and you've got to trickle feed your preps to a sustainable level. Yeah,
yep.
Might sound
Keep
simple
making
as that,
progress forward.
Yeah, I mean, we've all heard, we'd all like to have a bunker. We'd all like to have a huge pantry stocked with 2 years supply of food and all this sort of stuff. We'd all like to have the gold-plated solution water filter, the solar panel array, the wind turbine, fully stocked vehicle with all the fuel to go 600 miles and all this sort of stuff. But it's just not feasible. It's just not feasible in the short term. It takes a long time to do it. And then, as your journey progresses through, things deteriorate and break and erode and, fail. So you might have forked out X amount of money for a new vehicle that will get you to your bug out location. It could be a dedicated bug out vehicle, for instance, or a dedicated generator. But over time, the components in that will wear. And as you're saving up to buy, for instance, your power solution, off-grid power solution, you're then got to divert funds to maintain your generator, maintain your vehicle, etc., etc. So I think the key thing is definitely prioritizing your needs. It's really, you got to manage it really, really carefully and correct.
I think doing it that way also gives you the ability to customize and kind of adjust to the items that you do have, your preps essentially. And more so than that, it also really enables you to, increase your capability to use your items more, to use like outdoor equipment as well. That's why using items by going for like hikes and camping and stuff like that as well, as often as you possibly can, if you're physically able to, can definitely be a great benefit. And that's why I say that even, attaining the gear, as you're saying, Preparedness Veteran, it's absolutely correct. It does take a very long time. And also, you learn to trust certain items as well. And then when it comes to the wants and needs, and there's definitely that's such a good topic as well, because obviously our lives currently are filled with wants, and when it comes down to the bare minimum things that are required to survive out in the wilderness, you do need to look at the bare essentials a lot of the time and try and create things and get better at like bushcraft and get better at procuring what you need to survive out there.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I agree on that too.
Yeah. When it comes to prepping and wants and needs, food, water, and something to keep you warm.
Or cool.
Or cool. Exactly.
Yes.
Or
it
cool.
is summertime right now. It is summertime.
Yeah, it is. And it's hot over here, so I have a fan next to my computer that is running, because I'm sweating like the Niagara Falls by now. So food, water, and things like that is necessary things to have, and even a generator. Even if it's a solar generator or water purification filters, and even medical stuff is needs. But then you can buy things that are wants that you really don't need. that doesn't fill any function in your preps.
Yeah,
if you know what I mean.
I think people have got to establish a set of baselines to begin with. So assess what your threats are, what you're most vulnerable, what are you preparing for a start off. Otherwise, you just go and running into a blind
Winter.
tunnel, and you're just firing from the hip. So establish what you're preparing for, and then you can set your own sort of pyramid of priorities, if you like. So at the top of the triangle, you've got
Hey, King Wolf, good to see you, brother.
the golden solution to your problems or your threat. At the bottom of the triangle, you've got the basic needs. So it can be simple as food and water at the bottom of the triangle, because without those two things, you're going to die. It's just a case of time frames there, and so you can start off with 3 days, then work your way to 7 days, a month, 3 months, and so on and so on. Or because every plan is different. Some people might not even want to prep; they might just want to get out of their location at the first sign of trouble and move to another location which is fully prepped or whatever. But by the by, but establish a sort of hierarchical triangle, if you like, a set of needs that will see you through a particular situation, and they might be the cheapest goods of the cheap, or they might be good quality goods that are that will only see you through a week's worth of use, and then just build up from there. And like I say, we'd all like to have the golden solution here and now, but it's just not feasible. Completely out the scope of many people. I'd say 90% of people out there who are preparing for any sort of event or disaster or long-term, strife, then it's not easy. And there's various websites and information out there, this sort of thing.
The Real Love Survival, good to see
The Real
you,
Love
brother.
Survival, how are you doing? It's always good to hear you there. So if people want some sort of baseline to work from, I wouldn't think in terms of gear initially. Think more theoretical, philosophical way. So look at something like Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and you can drag a picture of that up if you like, Shadow. It's Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and many people should have heard about this. It's pretty basic stuff, and it gets taught in colleges and stuff like that, and all this sort of stuff. And so it establishes a set of guidelines, if you like, working from bottom to top, as to the things you could be looking at and working towards. So, and then you can translate that across, if you like, to gear, and depending on how high up the tree you go or how high up the triangle you go, would determine or reflect how effectively well prepared you are. So it's some of these are, right. Yeah, some of these are more detailed than others. So at the bottom you got your psychological needs, the things you need, to live, basically your basic needs, as it says there. So your food, water, your warmth, and rest. And then once you've established that, you can look at your security needs and your safety needs. So you can translate that across to, so the bottom one, you can say food, fine, canned food, a variety of freeze-dried food, dehydrated food, whatever your situation it is you're preparing for. Some items will be more useful than others. So, there's no point having dehydrated food if you're in the desert and water's going to be a problem. Water, a good stash or supply of water to see you through the event. Warmth, because hypothermia is a big killer. Probably the number one killer in the wilderness and out in the open, actually. And rest as well, because without sufficient rest and sleep, etc., then you start going downhill. boats us, Iowa. And then you work up, work your way through security and safety needs. So defense, self-defense, personal defense, family defense, group defense, aiding.
Security cams.
Yeah, so your security cameras for your home security, anti-burglar systems, all this sort of stuff. And then work your way up. So, we'd like to be all at the top of the triangle. So you've got all these in place already. You've got your basics, your food, your security, belongingness and love needs. You could probably, it's a bit of a generic triangle, this, and theoretical sort of model. So you could translate that across to things like being part of a proper group, if you like, or community group that supports each other. I wouldn't rule that out because it's a very important factor, and it comes, one of the principles of defense the military use is what do they call it? Mutual support. So, getting your mutual support in a preparedness manner, it translates into that sort of belonging to another group and support, So what you up and esteem needs, prestige, and feeling of accomplishment. I'm not sure how that translates across.
Matt. Good to see you, brother.
Anyway, at the top of the triangle, if you're all there, then you've ticked all the boxes that you wanted and you've needed, sort of thing. But it's just an example. You don't have to sort of adhere to this methodology. Just sort of me.
Backward slow. Good to see you.
Me thinking out loud, sort of thing. That's one way people could go. Anyone else got any suggestions? And pile on in.
It's good to see you.
So, CR, would you like to comment on this? Because I've got some thoughts. Obviously, I've always got some thoughts on something. But CR, would you like to have some input here?
I'm ignorant.
Sorry. I'm so sorry. Okay. So, quickly.
Okay, I'm done. Okay, I'm done. Okay.
That's great, buddy. Really?
I'm in.
So what's the question?
No, it's just thoughts and inputs on this as well, and specifically the Maslow's. The reason for this obviously is for people's stability.
Welcome, Lisa. Good to see you.
So I think CR, go for it. I'll hold my thought.
No. You go first. After you.
Well, just having a strong willpower, obviously, and just being trying to live a pleasant life as best as possible and do good things. And obviously that kind of, when you are living a life where you're trying to assist others and you're trying to be, a helpful member of society as much as you possibly can, it definitely does improve your own sense of self-esteem. And then if you do run into problems as well, I think that people, when they go through things, and I mentioned something here in the comment section as well, but when you go through things through life, because we all have different challenges, right? That's part of the human experience is suffering. Suffering is life. Life is suffering. So essentially, just depending on what you do go through, I do believe that it can vastly improve your capability to handle different situations. Sometimes hardships can actually be really good. If you ever watch the way that they treat, as you all know, I love my gardening, right? And if you look at the way that sometimes they'll treat young apple trees, they'll take the apple tree and they'll shake the apple tree ridiculously, so that you think that they're trying to destroy this little apple tree as it's growing up. And what it obviously does is they're securing it and preparing it so that when it's got full-grown apples, that the tree's strong enough. And that's why sometimes the best apples come from trees that have endured a lot, and where there's been a high amount of wind as well, and where there's been a lot that the tree can get extremely strong and then essentially provide for, be able to handle a large amount of weight when it does come to bearing the fruits. So yeah, essentially, I have a lot of respect for people that do go through trials and tribulations through their lives. I know that life's not easy. I really get it. But yeah, having a hardened mindset at the best of times, and then also making sure that you've got a strong exterior, like that you don't, that sometimes, you know, being cautious of who you're willing to be friendly around as well, and kind and open and all that, because people will take advantage. And it's unfortunate that I've always got to circle back down to that type of thing, but it's just genuinely the truth. Yeah, so help other people form bonds, make sure that your own needs psychologically are taken care of, because if things had to fall apart tomorrow, try and visualize that, and try and like also, while not allowing yourself to be like, you know, full of doom and gloom, definitely realize to yourself, like think about it on psychological practice, like what you would essentially do if tomorrow it's, you know, the day starts up and your bank card doesn't work, the ATM's all closed, the electronics like completely have like shut down, there's no access at all. Like, what would you do? You know, then you think about that passively, and it definitely gets a lot easier, and you don't think about it in more of a fear way. It's just more of like a, you know, aspiring way. Avoid people if you can. Honestly, you should be wise enough and like, you know, skillful enough that you don't have to rely as heavily on random people.
That's a good point.
Yeah, I
Very
think
good point.
being in a position of non-reliance is absolutely key. No matter where you are, what you're doing, what age you are, what job you're in, etc., etc. To some extent, we're always relying on someone. We're always beholden to someone. Whether we're on benefits, you know, we're beholden to the state. Whether we're renting a flat, we're beholden to the landlord and his rules and regulations, and so on and so on. And it comes all the way down. You know, you might have a car on finance, for instance, or whatever. We're always beholden to someone's rules and regulations. And there's not many people, I'll tell you, that's you know, completely independent and not in that position. And when you're in that position, it's so, I don't know, refreshing and liberating, I suppose, because you can literally, you know, obviously within the law, do what you like. You can prep how you like, live how you like, exercise how you like, wake up when you like, etc., etc. But yeah, break free of that sort of situation. I think people have got to initially assess their threats and assess their needs for that threat. So it all comes down to the planning stage initially. People have got to be sensible. Watching ridiculous YouTube videos on the latest gear and all this sort of stuff, you know, it's on one hand it's entertaining, fine. You know, you may bond with the audio, you know, the speaker and that sort of stuff. And on the other hand, he's showing you this nice new spanky piece of kit. You thought, oh my god, you know, he's advertised this so well. I can't live without this sort of piece of equipment now. And you're thinking, oh,
I need it.
Yeah, I need it. I've got to have that piece of equipment. How did I live before? How did I live life before I saw this video on that knife? For instance, without that knife, I can't do this or that. And, you know, I've only got this cheap knife. Yeah, people have got to break away from that mentality. And
at the end, they find out they didn't need that item or gear they bought because of that.
It's probably false as well. They're probably just doing everything all geared towards that video, and it's all staged and all this sort of crap. People have got to go back to reality and the real cold light of day. So do your research on what emergencies you're preparing for. What, you know, there could be floods, power outages, etc., etc. You know, map it out on a bit of paper or draw it down or have a good conflab with the rest of the family and stuff like that. You'll probably find that most of these events, disasters and whatever, they'll all have common areas that you need to prep for. You know, the end result could be the elevated crime, or water could be a common occurrence, or power could be the commonality. So there'll always be a bit of an overlap in whatever you're prepping for. So you've got to take those into account. So list them down and think about those, and then consider I don't know how you're living at the moment. Consider your living situation. You're in an apartment, you're in a house, proximity to neighbours, and all this sort of stuff. You're more or less doing a complete overhaul of your prepping scenario. This even applies to people who are starting out. And then this is all pointing towards and gearing towards what you actually need to buy versus what you would like to have, what you want. And then you can go, as you go down this sort of planning cycle, you can then identify what you actually need. You're planning, you can identify what your family needs, medical conditions, dietary restrictions, this sort of stuff. And then you prioritize it, prioritize your, what you actually need over what you want. And if you've got something, a piece of equipment, for instance, which does the job fine, it does the job, you can put a time limit on that or an amount of use on it versus spares that you've got. And then as you gradually progress down your preparedness journey over the years, when that piece of equipment, food or whatever it is out of date or no longer becomes useful, or you've worn it out because you actually use it, then look at replacing that with a slightly better version of what you've got. So as time progresses forward, the kit you've got which does the job, it might be...
Hey, Ann, good to see you, man.
It might not be very good at doing its job, but as time goes by, you're gradually upgrading and upgrading and upgrading, and you're getting towards your top of your pyramid, if you like, towards your golden solution. And, we've all heard the stories. We know when it comes to food, for instance, we've all heard people keep going on and on about, and this is true.
Yeah, I know.
You go shopping, get a couple of extra cans, throw them in the trolley, and over time that'll build up. That's another way of doing it. So you got to start small and just build it up gradually. Rome wasn't built in a day and all that sort of stuff. I just hope that your ability to counter the threat, earthquake, flood, power, whatever, is there as early as possible. But the more you go down the line, the better you are, and the longer you'll be able to cope with that emergency.
It's down to, so obviously water is like for us, like just to have basic survival needs covered. It's water, like food and shelter and warmth, and then like following that as well. However, if we practice those things, like just making fires, that's why, traditionally making fires, whether it be barbecue or locally braai or whatever the case is, just having good practice in like getting like a fire started as well, with a little bit of resources. Hi, welcome to the stream. I hope that you enjoy your time here.
Hi.
It's obviously important for us to be able to just practice those. And then when it does come to the basic needs as well, being able to, just even grow. That's why having the whole garden, and all of us, we do have time available, spending time in the garden as well, and understanding how things grow in our climate, in our region, so that food is covered. So these are the needs, obviously, for us to be able to just have like on tap. And if we don't, and if we neglect those things as well, and if we fall short, you do unfortunately start losing that skill set. And if you don't hone that skill set often enough and train it, then it does fall by the wayside. That's why doing things such as like becoming a lot more self-reliant in your everyday life, and that's why what we do is absolutely a lifestyle. And it's nice to like just look at different gear over time and then save up and eventually get there. And look at what CR's is showing on the camera. Just bring that up and make that full screen, Shadow.
Yeah, sure.
So yeah, it's exactly what it's about.
Some form of plantain.
Yeah.
Go on, CR, what is it? The plant recognition isn't too great.
Oh, it's just something I have. It's just something I have.
Good.
Just visuals. Just visuals. All right?
Yeah.
Because we actually tried to do it, all right? Not just say we do.
I think
All right. Keep going on.
Guardians. Go on, sorry.
I'm going to go on. You guys take over.
I think Guardian hit on a point and triggered something off there. I think a lot of people, there's obviously overlaps between survival, bushcraft, preparedness, homesteading, all that sort of stuff. I always say to people, start off at the bottom. Well, not necessarily the bottom, but start off in the area, look at survival, bushcraft and survival. And once you start getting into that and practicing that, and you've been out for a while and done a couple of camps and practiced various skills, it will teach you what you actually need versus what you want. And look at a good program to watch is one that Creek Stewart did called Fat Guys in the Woods. And all they did basically, they had a knife, and that was it. Bunch of guys in the woods. He took them out there. He says, "Right, here we go." And he basically, the whole ethos was around sort of 4 core areas: shelter, fire, water, food, in that order. So what do you actually need to survive? So he broke it down into 4 areas, and this is a series that went on over a couple of months. So shelter, because that was his immediate priority, because most people succumb to hypothermia. Fire, because it keeps you warm, and you're then able to keep the fire going and boiling water and cooking stuff. Water, because it's over a priority over food and stuff. Then food, lastly. So, and that sort of illustrates or demonstrates the core sort of survival issues, if you like, and preparedness as well, because we could be as prepared as we like, and if your house gets destroyed or your bunker gets destroyed or wherever you are, then you're always going to come back to those 4 key issues: the basics, shelter, fire, water, food. And it's once you've cracked sort of the camping, survival, bushcraft, it doesn't matter what measures you can go to the extreme measures or the just get the camping gear out. It will highlight, you call it training. It will highlight through training and practice and the outings what your priorities are, what you think you need versus what you actually need. The amount of time I've been out in my early days, 17, 18 years old, your Bergen is, or your rucksack is, 60, 70 pounds. And all you're doing is going out for a couple of nights. And then you wind forward 10 to 15 years, and you've wisened up to the fact what you actually need, and your Bergen rucksack isn't that heavy anymore. You've learned through the hard ways that you actually, a 35-pound Bergen is quite sufficient to perform the same tasks. So learn through experience and stuff like that, and through others.
I think it's also that the more that you enjoy the outdoors and just getting out there in general, the more that your wants are actually the same as your needs when it comes to it, because obviously the things that in general that you'd usually want start fading away when it comes to appreciating outdoors and nature and gardening. When it comes to appreciating that aspect of life and survival, preparedness, all of these things that we speak about so often, it's obviously like it becomes so much part of what you do and who you are, that like the things that you would desire beforehand that you used to before you were into like really self-reliance and preparedness, those definitely start fading away, and your main hobbies become that. Like I used to really enjoy, like just a quick example, I used to really enjoy sports bikes, like sports, like high, extremely high rev, like nice, quick acceleration, like good, nice top speed as well. I used to love sports bikes, and obviously the more that I got into outdoors and the more that I got into survivalism, like the more that I wanted my adventure motorcycle and
Hey, Gil,
kind of
good to see you,
created
brother.
that speed for utility. So that's why I'm saying that the longer that you're into preparedness and the longer that you're into like the survival aspects of things, your wants absolutely start merging between like the needs that you have to survive, because obviously the utility purposes and all that type of thing. But I think it just comes down to like your day-to-day living and the way that you see things. Even your crockery and your like utensils that you use, you start like leaning towards having like very rugged and outdoor style. Like my kitchen's become more of like a, you know, camping, a lot of camping equipment in my kitchen that like, because I have like my backup equipment as well, but a lot of it's rugged and long lasting. So you start understanding, you know, to implement certain metals that are much more durable. What I'm saying is your wants and needs merge the longer that you're into outdoors, in a very long-winded way.
I'd also
I need that saw.
yeah. I'd also consider start looking at multi-purpose items as well. Whether it be a headlight or handheld flashlight, things like this. Combine it all so you're not spending vast amount of money on two different things. Torch, I mean flashlights. Look at the flashlight market. Some of the prices of these torches are
It's just
ridiculous.
flooded with it.
Yeah. It just, some of these torches, for instance, are absolutely ridiculous in price, hundreds and hundreds of dollars. When you could actually go out and buy one for a fraction of the price. Does the same job. Might not be as robust initially, but then as I said,
Battery
time
life.
goes on, you gradually upgrade your gear and do it that way. Yeah, start small, build up gradually.
Yep.
I think.
Get the things that.
Yep.
Get the things that you probably actually use on a regular basis, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Such as food, right? The water that you need for that coffee, for example.
A key thing is, I alluded to it just now, is practice and training. Actually, so people they should already know what they're preparing for and the generic threats they could be faced with. Put your plan into action. Practice it. Whether you just break it out, put it on the floor of your bedroom or kitchen floor or whatever, or you actually get out and use it and implement your plan and get out and use your equipment. You'll soon find what you actually need and what you don't need. Oh, why am I carrying this as a piece of junk? Throw it out. Why have I got two of those? Throw it out. Or, not throw it out, put it to a side as a
Why am I
spare.
carrying this heavy thing?
Yeah. Why am I carrying? Who told me to carry an anvil in my rucksack? What do we know? I've seen people carry ridiculous things, on exercise in the army. Bags of sand to make up weight and all this sort of crap. It's just some of the mentality people have is absolutely bizarre. And it's unless you've got someone stood over you critiquing you or instructing you, then trial and error is probably the best way to establish what you actually need and what you don't need in, say, a rucksack, for instance. As far as your home gear, your spares, or the safety gear you've got, or your alternate power solutions,
Your
then
contingency.
you can use those, and then you can establish what is needed and what isn't, and you can what as soon as you establish what's not needed, you can sell it, buy something you actually need. But there's a lot of wastage out there for sure, definitely. And so now we are all probably guilty of impulse buying and this sort of stuff. Buying things which are complete garbage to begin with. They say buy cheap, buy twice, and all this sort of stuff. True to a certain extent, but if that's all you can afford, that's all you can afford. Like I say, budget-wise, it's not a cheap pastime, hobby, or whatever. You've got to be sensible about these things. And another key issue, which probably fits into this area pretty well, is training. You know, why look at what you're getting trained in. If you want to do a first aid course, yep, that ticks one of the boxes. Prioritize it amongst the other skills that you think you may need. It can come to a bit of a quandary when you're prioritizing, say, first aid against gardening, for instance. But it's all dependent on each person's situation and stuff like that, I suppose.
And how much of skill, knowledge, and experience you have. Because sometimes you have very little experience with something. Well, something else like gardening, you have something more experience in,
I mean,
for example.
I've bitten the bullet a couple of times. When I started preparing seriously for things, one of the first things I bought was a Berkey water filter. And I thought to myself, right, well, water, without it, you're going to succumb, get ill, or die pretty quickly without it. So I bought myself a Berkey, bit the bullet, and they are a lot of money in Britain. They're
expensive.
£500 plus, but that was a 10-year solution. 10 years of good quality, peace of mind, essential equipment, and then I bought some cheaper items like a couple of soy minis and all this sort of stuff. So I invest in quality over quantity sometimes, but like I say, everyone's different, and I literally I saved for a while to get that. That was because another thing when it comes down to the money side of it, you're living your life day to day normally anyway, which can be a struggle in many cases, and you're putting aside some money or a part of your budget for preparedness, something which may never happen in some people's eyes. So you got to justify it on the financial side as well. But I wouldn't crucify people out there. I wouldn't crucify yourselves over your lifestyle if it's going to sort of start to financially ruin you. You've got to be sensible about this sort of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's better to save up the money and and buy a better quality.
Well, obviously, if you got to look at the chances of various events happening. So, if you're on a boat, for instance, one of the worst cases things can happen on a boat is you sink. Why are you going to sink? You might have a hole or a crack or some sort of intrusion into the hull. So one of the things you'll probably consider as a top priority is some sort of bilge pump, for instance. So translate that across to real life. So yeah, don't you got to be sensible. Don't crucify yourself about buying the thing you want. Although the thing you want may be a key thing, like I said, the Berkey scenario. Everyone's different. That's the problem. That's why you got to sort of build we've got to talk in terms of frameworks here and let people build on their own little sort of framework.
Well, pardon this, Patrick. Can I just say something real quick?
Go on, crack on, yeah.
Kind of picture it like little globs of ink, right? So let's say you got your first aid stuff, right? You got your water, right?
Yeah.
Kind of think of it like a circle that you're trying to overlap a lot of these circles, and these circles have different sizes and all that stuff. So if you think about it like that, and you're trying to like widen the circle.
Yeah. Right. So yeah. So in other words, you indicating having 2 or 3 ways of doing things which complement each other.
Yes, and something like that.
Right.
And so you're always
That's
trying to
awesome,
focus in on the
privileges.
need as much as possible.
Yeah, as long as it fulfills the task. Yeah. Yeah. You could be if you there's ways and means of getting things as well. I'm not talking about stealing or looting. Barter with people. Look at alternative ways where you can buy things. eBay, thrift shops, secondhand stores, your next door neighbor, for instance. He might have an abundance of a plant that you're not growing, and you might want to swap him that particular plant, for instance, and bingo, you've got a new melon plant or whatever it is. Bartering could be another good way of overcoming the monetary financial aspect of it. Yeah. You could
I
even
agree
borrow
with
it. Community resources, I suppose. If you are part of a sort of little community and everyone's on the same page, you may want to consider, talking to your neighbours and sharing resources or planning to help each other during an emergency. Although it can become a bit precarious because it's all fine and dandy until the resources run low, and then you're back into prioritizing who's going to get what, and it could turn a bit nasty then. So there are pitfalls with that as well. Also, when I say resource, the resource could be a shelter or a library. I know there are certain disaster relief programs out there as well, but I mean, shelters, we've seen umpteen examples of that being used as a shared resource. Ukraine, etc., bomb shelters and so on, communal items. But yeah, as well as all this, it gets a bit more of a full-time job in some respects, because you then got to start revising your plans, revisit your prep plan, revisit your resources, what you've got, and it should be part of everyone's management cycle anyway, of checking various items per month and so on, or whatever frequency you're doing it on. And by revising what you've got, you'll quickly determine whether or not an item isn't what you expected it to be. It might deteriorate quicker than other items you wanted. You might have
be more useful.
Yeah, you might have started to go down a road where the items you wanted initially aren't the items that will actually deal with the problem. So it's a fluid situation. And if you've invested a lot of money buying a particular item, you suddenly discover that it's not actually turned out to remedy your problem, then you've spent a lot of money for that way. So, back in 1 second.
All right. Shadow, yeah. So do you have something to add to that?
Yeah, please do.
No, I was asking you.
Okay.
If you want, I can add something quickly here on the side, if you'd like, Shadow.
Yeah, feel free to do so.
Sure. So what I'll speak about quickly is something that's really important that people don't always realize, and that's like psychological comfort, right? When things when things go rough and things kind of fall apart, it's important that people psychologically remain as calm as possible, but also have things that can provide them sort of like home type comforts, and things such as like solar lamps as well. And you can buy solar lamps and store up a couple. and put them in like a cache as well if you like to, that type of thing. Even those normal garden solar lights that you get, and they're becoming extremely cheap. And if you have just like some light, it can definitely aid a large amount of, like, because a lot of the time, some of these solar lamps as well, they'll last about 4 hours into the evening, right? 4 or 5 hours into the evening. And for the most part, like a lot of the people that are within your community group could take a large amount of comfort in the fact that and a lot of these solar lights will last for you for years and years and years without actually having like any, major issues, because they're made to be durable and they're made to be outdoors all the time. And some of them are extremely compact. So if you actually take a couple of them as well, you can fit them into like a nice durable, like, lunchbox or something like that. And you can fit like a whole bunch into them. And then essentially what you're doing is, and you still keep them in their main packaging. You don't even need to take them out their packaging until you really have the requirement for them. And if you use them sparingly, that's plenty of years of like consistent light in the early evening. That'll definitely add a psychological like blanket to people when it does come to like having that light around. Because specifically for like, the community members, like younger community members as well, just having a bit of light like that can absolutely add a lot of security and just that feeling of there. But obviously, on the word of security, you need to be extremely careful of where you're putting the lighting as well, that you're not attracting like unwanted attention, but that you have like that's why when it comes to shelter building, you can do all sorts of interesting things while being extremely concealed, but also having like, some of these comforts by building like semi-underground when it comes to like the way that you build your shelters as well, so that you can still use like some of the lighting. You have the panel up above ground and some of the lighting like within the shelter that you build, and you can really do things nicely. Not only that, but if you want people to be like happy, and you aesthetically make a place look beautiful by like rearranging things as well, once you've got like your needs met for the most part, you make a place look nice, like a little bug out shelter. You actually like make it look good. And essentially, like once you've got like the needs covered, and I understand that that's always got to be the most important, but at the same time, being able to make it look and feel a bit homely in a way can definitely add a lot when it comes to psychologically. Like, so yeah, just my thoughts. You guys can give opinion on that when it comes to making a bug out shelter look, cozy to a degree. Obviously, I understand that is far at the back of, making sure that it's obviously the main thing that you should be focusing on is just like the basic, food production and water filtration as well, and proper warmth and shelter. But I'm saying once you have those things covered, it is something to look at psychologically.
Speaking of lamps and lights and things like that, I have a lantern that is foldable, and it's solar, so it is a big square lantern. So you basically pull it up and you have
big LED panel.
Yeah, well, it's a solar panel on the top, and you have some form of LED lamps inside, and that one gives pretty good light, actually. I have it in some of my boxes here.
I like we got a couple of lanterns. I like the multi-use ones where the regular sort of torch or flashlight converts into like a lantern as well. I know Nebo do a lot of that type of thing, and they're good quality as well. And they're at a good price actually as well. So yeah, having comfort is definitely the psychological factor of having something that makes things look more normal. You're trying to establish normality, which is a key psychological factor in aiding people through sort of harsh times. Definitely.
Or get them used to crazy now. Get them used to the outdoors. Get them used to things not having to be consistently pristine and everything 100%. I'm saying obviously keep things in order, because it's important to just to make sure that you can maintain all the gear and equipment that you've got in as best condition as you possibly can. So obviously having a place for everything that you have as well is extremely fundamental, or else you'll lose stuff and you could essentially lose your capability to survive because you lose stuff,
Hey,
right?
Vision, good
So
to see you, brother.
Hey, Vision, good to see you, bro. So yeah, it's extremely important to also just get people used to not having, desensitizes them a little bit when it comes to a little bit of like chaos. You hear what I'm saying? Like a little bit of chaos can be good sometimes.
Now, that's the sort of thing I would say can be achieved through training and practice and using the stuff and deploying out with it. So let's if you've got a bunker in your backyard, storm shelter or whatever, then spend 2 or 3 nights, or 1 or 2 nights in it to start off with, get people used to it, make it a bit of fun. And as you say, they get psychologically accustomed to it.
CR is back.
CR.
All right. Sorry.
Yeah.
Hey, welcome back, CR.
Thank you.
I think the more you meet your wants, the more you gravitate towards the things you actually want as opposed to need. The more, obviously, the more of a comfortable situation you're going to be in.
Yes.
But satisfying,
like coffee, right? Coffee
exactly.
and water, right? You want more, you want more coffee, so you get more water, but you realize then you want more coffee.
It's like separating the luxuries from the must-haves. Although some things people want are, the top of the range gear that doesn't necessarily do anything better than the normal gear. It's like, I'll give you another example out there. Right, the Army issued Gore-Tex jackets, Gore-Tex trousers that we got issued. They started issuing those in about 1989, and they were absolutely fantastic. They're not actually made of Gore-Tex. They're made of a fabric similar to Gore-Tex, and there's many of these sorts of things out there. Some are called Sympatex, some are called some other. Anyway, most of these materials end in the word Tex. It's kind of an indication to the consumer that you're buying a Gore-Tex-like material. Anyway, the non-Gore-Tex items are generally much cheaper, but essentially they're the same fabric. But what people fail to sort of comprehend is they're being played for in the market. The marketing value of Gore-Tex is higher than the marketing value of, say, Sympatex, even though it's the same sort of membrane, it does the same job, etc., etc. So, people got to differentiate from a product which does the same jobs, but the cost is vastly different. For instance, a Sympatex jacket, well, I don't know, £50 to £80 in Britain on average. Gore-Tex jacket, you're looking up to £300.
Mm-hmm.
And the difference is marginal, if that. I don't know. It'll probably all come down to the stitching and the seams and the taping the seams and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah. Is the price worth the upgrade?
Yeah. So on the one hand, the more, like I say, the further down you go to achieving and getting what you actually want, can be a bit different than a product which is slightly cheaper that does the same job. And yeah, money plays a big part of it. Obviously, the more we train, training requires money. It requires time off. It requires people to be on board, getting your family out there. Your teenage son wants to be in his bedroom playing a game.
Let's go for a walk.
The girls might want to go out with their mates on a Friday night, so you got to pick and choose your timings and all this sort of stuff. But that's part of parenting. However, you got to choose the time and the place, and you will soon slowly come to realize what is needed, whether that's a good quality item, a rubbish item, or whatever. You could have a rucksack full of the top of the range gear. Fine. Do you actually need all that gear? This is the other aspect of it. So you've reached the top of the tree. Money isn't an object, etc., etc. And And I've seen this in the past where, you've got the young officer who's rich. He's got all this gear he's bought, and he's gone through Sandhurst, and he's gone through university and all this sort of crap. And they were just absolutely clueless when it comes to what they actually need on exercise. Going out in the field, absolutely clueless. And they have to be shown by some old sweat corporal who, has been there, done it 10 plus years in the past, and he actually knows what you need. Don't need that, get rid of it. Don't need that, get rid of it. I'll give you another example. When we had in the army rations, we used to deploy for, say, a 5-day exercise, and the rations we got given were in tins initially. So you had a tin of meat and all this sort of stuff. Anyway, you soon found out that the tins weighed quite a lot of weight. So people would ditch all the items in their ration packs, 24-hour ration packs or 24-hour MREs, and just ditch all the stuff that they know they don't need. They don't need the coffee because they don't drink coffee. They don't ditch the sugar because they don't like the sugar. They ditch the meatballs, pasta sauce because they don't like that, or they ditch the curry because they don't like that. And they eventually trim it down to exactly what they know they eat, what they know they like, and what they know can sustain them. And this is all done through the training process, going out there, practicing your craft, out on the ground, trial and error. Versus the other guys who will just lob the whole 24-hour ration pack into their rucksack, Bergen, etc., without trawling through it and sifting through what they don't actually need. And lo and behold, they're lugging around an extra 3 or 4 pounds of weight in their rucksack, which then plays on them psychologically, physically. They get more dehydrated, etc. So that sort of thing.
Hey, Vision, good to see you, brother.
Vision, that sort of thing can translate across to just about every other aspect of life, really, I suppose.
How you been, Vision? You doing well?
Doing well. How you guys doing?
Yeah, all good here. Yep.
I think I wanted to add something quickly on the whole racking topic as well. I think that's brilliant. Being able to just rack as often as possible. Fortunately, we've got like a little bit of a strip of a hiking trail right here by me. So whenever I need to go to the shops, instead of opting to take the motorcycle, what I'll do sometimes, pretty often, at least like 3 times a week, is I'll go up and take the backpack and go through the trail, and then, get a bit of extra water from the shop as well. And then so get like maybe 10 liters of water, whatever. And then I'll carry that on my back with a bit of an extra weight vest, and then mission back with that as well. Do you also agree with the whole racking style as well, Vision? Do you agree with that?
Oh, absolutely. I try to ruck a couple of times a month. And I ruck with different bags that I have. My lightest bag is about 35 pounds. And my heaviest bag that I ruck with is about 50 pounds. So I try to do it. And when I ruck out here where we live, we're on 5 acres, and it's majority of it is woods. So it's uneven ground. So for me, rucking on uneven ground, to me, is the best workout as well. But, yes, I agree 100%, because our physical health is second to our mental health. And we got to be sharp on mentally and physically fit.
Yeah, I think if you lose the mental aspect, sorry, go ahead, Preparedness.
I was just about to say, if ever you wanted to teach anyone or demonstrate what they actually need and what they don't need, or what they actually want and needs, etc., is take them on a backpacking sort of trip, or take them out for a long walk and stuff like that, and they'll soon, you'll probably see a progression in the mental state. They'll start thinking, oh, why have I taken this? Why do I need that? When they get back from the second hike, the third hike, etc., you can guarantee they won't be having same gear as they had in that day one, because they'll soon learn. I think that's quite a good way of starting people out, actually.
Yeah.
It could quite easily translate across to other aspects of not only life, but prepping for other things as well.
So I think the importance of having good quality socks is paramount, like really good quality socks as well. Hiking socks is brilliant. And then not only that, but baby powder, having baby powder like for where you'd usually have the contact between your body and like a heavy rucksack as well. Like that's extremely like valuable. And then also a second pair of hiking boots. That's something that a lot of people don't always have. Not only the second pair of hiking boots, but strong Gorilla duct tape or any type of strong duct tape that you can get hold of, industrial duct tape, because that fixes so many different things.
Yes. Yep. In all of my packs, I carry duct tape in them because, as we say in the States, duct tape will fix anything.
It really
And
does.
if the duct tape
so many
can't
things.
fix it, you can't fix it.
Right.
Well, right. So yeah, we're into a dilemma here now. A simple, good example here. Duct tape. Do you have Gorilla tape, 3M tape, or standard duct tape? What do you want and what do you actually need? So, yeah, I mean, some is super expensive, some is super sticky, some is absolute garbage, etc., etc. But yeah, I hear what you're saying. Yeah, always have some duct tape with you. Yeah, we used to always have it. That and paracord as well.
Yep.
Zip ties as well. That's another useful thing to have.
Also, muscle relaxant creams, like a good cream that can actually like relieve stress and pain from people's like feet as well if they've been walking for really far. Because sometimes, like even if you're capable of it, sometimes the rest of your group might not be. So just having like extra things like this on hand, just so that you can help other people, and that comes down to so many different things. Having an extra lip balm for people if they start to get like cracked lips as well from being out in like the hot sun, specifically here in South Africa. Like it gets really hot. So for us as well, like when we're traveling as a group, it's important to have that type of thing, like even extra water, because sometimes you'll find that if you go hiking on a group on like a long hike, so for something around like 30 kilometers, you'll soon find that like people, some members of your group didn't pack enough water. So just making sure that you got a bit of extra water for those members that don't, and like, thinking ahead, being proactive rather than reactive,
Yeah.
I think
Exactly.
Hendo says industrial duct tape can't fix Biden.
Ice cream can't even fix Biden.
No, maybe some welding, perhaps.
Yeah, exactly.
I spent quite a few years in my army career on foot, and it took me at least 3 years to trim down what I actually need. So yeah, regularity, practicing it regularly, getting out there and doing it. It's no good. I mean, people. I'm surmising here, but I can just imagine people just buying a load of gear, pre-made packs and all this sort of stuff. And pre-made packs, that's another story. Pre-made survival packs, pre-made bug out packs, all this stuff. It's just cheap, nasty stuff, full of junk, does not tailor to your situation, etc., etc. And refinement definitely separates things out. Lessons learned and all this sort of stuff. Try it. You can't beat it. Get out there. You got to do it.
Yep.
I'm not using this wire saw.
Say again, Sia.
I said I'm not using this wire saw anymore. It doesn't cut it.
Yeah.
So I actually have a handsaw that is literally a chainsaw with handles.
Yep.
Yeah, I saw that video.
Yeah, and I'm gonna be honest with you. That is a workout. It's a workout. And
it's such a good one, yeah.
Yeah, it is definitely a workout for the upper body and the arms. And if you're not physically capable, it's gonna wear you out. You know, I know you guys may have, but we also have pocket rechargeable saws that look like drills, but they're saws that a lot of the guys have been using, and they carry those as well.
And
We
they
don't
work
see
just
them here
fine
very
too,
often.
I guess.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead, Shadow.
No,
Say
go
that again.
ahead.
Oh no, I was just I was saying that we don't really see a lot of those handheld motorized saws, and I've seen them in. You're gonna laugh at me, but the only place I've really seen them is in the Fallout universe. In Fallout 4, there's like actually a game. There's like one of them called the Ripsaw, which is like a handheld chainsaw type of thing. And I don't mean to make a gaming reference
Yeah.
specifically.
No,
but yeah,
you're absolutely right.
yeah.
But
So
they
I
work.
can imagine how useful something would be like that. Also, I'm following you, by the way, Vision. It's the first time being on a panel with you, so I definitely look forward to checking out some of your content.
Thank you, and I will follow back for sure.
Yeah, at the moment, my most active channel at the moment really is Guardian Fitness. It's like my channel where I do a lot of fitness challenges type of things and a lot of handstands.
Okay.
It sounds silly, but I really enjoy just like a little bit of acrobatics and stuff as well. And I'm almost 40 at the moment, so I'm like 30, hitting 39 here in a second. So I just want to try and maintain like a good level of health and try and encourage others to do the same, you know.
Gotcha. And I just subscribed.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I'll check out some of your content soon as well, Vision.
Likewise.
I appreciate the demeanor that you have, so I look forward to following your content.
Likewise, I'm I started my channel three years ago. Yeah. And my whole thing was I started it if I could help one person survive a natural disaster, man-made disaster, or whatever, my job is done. But as we all know, the job is never done. And actually, I love what I'm doing. I love what I'm doing. And,
you know about the girl that's walking along the seashore, right? And she's throwing all the dead starfish back into the ocean, and there's a whole bunch of them. And the guy comes up to her and asks her why she's doing it, and she says, you know, if even one of these starfish make it, then everything that she's been doing isn't in vain. And it's pretty much that, I guess, like that analogy as well.
Yes, absolutely, without a doubt. But
it's a nice community as well. It's a lot of people that celebrate the outdoors and the natural aspect to life. So you kind of got to enjoy like the conversations that come up around that. I was actually speaking to somebody today that came and got a bunch of wood from us. And he was saying that within his hiking group, you know, he can start at the beginning of a hike and he can walk with 9 random people and himself. And they're all from different like backgrounds. And then by the time that they're finished, like these people like are all chatting and they're like, you know, getting to know each other, and they've got like a kind of demeanor between, like a great form of like community between each other, just from like having similar interests. And it's great to see that type of thing. The outdoors brings out like that natural, wholesome part of people, I guess.
Yes, it does. And we moved out here to the country about 3 years ago, and you know, we're on 5 acres of land, completely surrounded with woods and trees. And I was telling my wife the other day, I said, you know what? Should have did this 20 years ago, because it is just so peaceful and serene. And like you said, you know, you get to the outdoors and it relieves your stress and everything. And you get to meet a whole lot of people that are just, you know, nice, just like you are. So, yeah, definitely.
Even my community here is really nice. It's good people, good, genuine people. So we always have fun.
There's moments, and I know that some people, even if you, you know, and when I say this, I have to also be mindful that there are people that have disabilities that they can't always do hiking and stuff as well. And to those people, even if they're able to get out in a vehicle and they're able to just like go and see the woods or go for like a drive with a friend or something like that, just to be able to get out of the house and out of the 4 walls can be really good for a person's spirit. And obviously, like, within saying that too, because my mom-in-law, she's got disabilities as well, and she also enjoys getting out and going for like a drive as well. And just her spirit that gets lifted afterwards is really remarkable. It's great, and she's very active of a person. That even despite her abilities, she's actually shown me that despite things like that, a person can persevere and live an amazing life. And it's what I wanted to essentially say as well is sometimes when I'm on a trail and I'm like hiking and there's like beautiful scenery in front of me and an amazing landscape, or I see like interesting little bugs or little animals and stuff like that, I often think to myself, I could be sitting at home on the couch and watching Netflix, but like experiencing those type of moments, that's when you really think to yourself, that you live on such an amazing planet. And it's good to see little parts of it sometimes. That's why I say, even if you are constrained to like a wheelchair or something, there's just, go for a bit of a road, a bit of a travel around the town that you're in, go and try and see somewhere that you haven't seen before, that type of thing. Yeah.
Get some sun.
Yes, get some sun, get out, get natural vitamin D. I mean, we're creatures that were not made to be indoors 24/7, 7 days a week, 365
in the dark.
days a year. Right, in the dark. Yeah. Get outside and do something. I tell my kids that all the time. Get out the house, or I'm going to lock you out the house and you're going to stay outside for an hour. I don't care if you don't do nothing but sit on the porch. You're getting out of the house. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point. I heard that frequently when I was a kid. Now, get out.
Right.
We
yeah.
went
The
to
only
the
time.
inside. No, out.
Yeah. The only time we were allowed to come in the house is to eat and go to bed. Other than that, our parents were like, go outside and play, and we did.
Yeah, same here.
Mm-hmm.
Or else you're doing your homework.
Yes.
Hendo's making some brilliant points in the comments here as well. If you look at what he's saying, what happens with the lockdowns. Yeah.
Just seeing the lockdown one. I was just about to say I've seen 3 or 4 different people now that have completely changed the way they live after lockdown. They can't seem to get back into how it was. I think it has affected a lot of people psychologically, and you've got to adapt, basically adapt to the situation, modify your lifestyle. We all modified involuntarily when lockdown came along, but you got to modify it back and change how it was. I mean, my mother, she used to go out once a week with her sisters and friends to a coffee shop. They stopped doing it now. They just don't do it anymore. Each one of them just stays in, and they're quite happy living their own sort of normalized life now, watching TV. It's a bit,
yeah. And by the way, preparedness veteran, I just subscribed to your channel as well.
Oh, right, no worries. Cheers for that. Yeah.
Yes, indeed.
I'm not doing as many videos at the moment, but
it's okay.
It's I roll them out when I can. So
yep, we all do. And see, for me being in the States, I love seeing other preparedness-minded people outside of our country.
Yeah.
And just seeing what you guys are dealing with and the ideas and things you guys come up with as far as prepping. That's how ShadowScoutSwede and I, he followed me, and I was like, wait a minute. Are you really in Sweden? So I checked out his channel, and I was like,
I'm pretty sure.
Okay. Yeah, he is. So,
nice one. I'll give you a follow back. Yeah, I'll check out your channel and follow you. I know what you mean though, because it's always good to see when we're in our own countries, watching our own sort of channels that are sort of showed to us or suggested to us by the algorithms. We get funneled into sort of one method of thinking, and by seeking out people in another country and all that sort of stuff, it gets you in a different sort of mindset, sparks different ideas off. Yeah.
Diversify.
Yep, diversify.
And I just followed you as well, Creative Redundancy, which is an awesome name. That I was like, okay.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, it's an awesome name. I
agree
agree with that.
Yes.
It says everything.
Yeah.
There's one thing to which probably demonstrates this sort of subject of wants and needs. Most people probably have heard of this website, but look at a website called dudeIwantThat.com. Right.
What?
Right. Shadow, call this website up. So dudeIwantThat.com. All right.
I'm gonna Google that.
I'm looking at it now.
Right. So dudeIwantThat.com, and you'll see things that show, wow, yeah, I want one of those. Oh, look at that one there. You know, oh, why didn't I have one of those? Why haven't I got that? And you suddenly realize after trawling through, very good ideas and stuff. It might spark the odd unique idea that you can seek out alternative ones for or cheap ones for. But a classic example of, do you really need that? Do you really need this? That's ridiculous.
Exactly. I was just looking at it. I was like, don't let my son see those Bluetooth earbuds.
Yeah, and the more you delve into it and scroll down, I mean, you can type in the top right-hand corner preparedness or prepper or survival, and it'll bring up all the survival preparedness orientated gear and that. And it's quite funny to look at, but it sort of demonstrates sort of your subjects here, Shadow.
Right. Wow.
Kim Jong-un attack preparedness package.
Right.
Survival is another one to look at. I mean, it does come up with the odd good bit of kit. Like on my front page, I've got the Sangian Weather Alert multi-power radio, which looks like a nice little piece of kit and that. But
yeah, we have the pill bottle survival kit.
Right. Yeah.
Nuclear war survival skills. 2022 edition. That sounds like a good book.
Look, what scrolled past my window just now was the collapsible middle finger.
Yeah. Exactly.
And this one?
First minute vest, wearable survival kit. Sold out. Who's bought this stuff? The Scotch.
Those
someone investing
are really awesome.
What
Go on, sorry.
The what is that? The Grizzly 8.5-inch mag fed 12 gauge?
We're looking at different pages, I think.
It's under gifts for guys.
Right.
What about M48 Commando Tactical Hiking Staff and the Survival Axe?
Right. So that's the sort of thing you think, oh, look at that. Yeah, I can see what, I'd need that. Scroll up, Shadow.
Disaster deck.
Go up, Shadow, to the hiking stick. Right. Yeah, there you go. I need that. Why haven't I got one of those? It's got the it's got the axe on it.
That cost $199.
It's got the axe on it. It's got, it's a walking pole. You can use it as a emergency crutch if I hurt my leg. I can fend off animals and bears with it. Oh, I want one of those. $109.
Two-legged animals.
Yeah, make one yourself.
It'll be worth it.
Yeah, the thing is exactly right. So you could make one yourself as well, and then it's very cumbersome and it's almost impractical, and because of the length of it as well. Like to actually use it as an actual axe, and it's got such a long handle. It would be really almost annoying to use. And then not just that, but for the same length, I could think of a lot of things in the replacement for that, and. Not just mind you, I haven't done a personal review of this. So while I'm busy picking at it, what should actually be this incredibly useful item that one day I'm going to be in a situation where I'm like, man, if I only had that M48 Commando Tactical Hiking Staff, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. So I should be careful of what I'm saying. It's just,
it's interesting as every one of us looks into this, it'll be interesting to see what the thought process is behind every person, because I might think, oh yeah, look at that's a top-notch bit to get that. Someone else might think, oh,
Well, the thing is that axe as well could be an amazing weapon. If you think about the reach that it has, right? That axe that we were looking at, like that's got a really good range on it. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, yeah. And then we got, has anyone actually, if we scroll past any of these kit and someone's actually got one of these items, speak up. I don't know why you bought it. I mean, some of these.
I have.
No, I've not seen one of them yet. Trucker's Friend, right? I've seen that a few times, and I've always thought that looks like a good bit of kit, but I haven't actually got one. Yeah, there we go. I've got that. The Survival Medicine Handbook.
Yep, I got that too.
I got that one too.
That is a good piece of equipment because it's the amount of use you could get out of that and its information in it and all this sort of stuff. It's so there is some useful stuff in this.
I like that.
Oh, the coffee's useful right there.
Absolutely.
Patriot Pantry. How much do you get?
I like the Nomad Super Compact Survival Bow.
Huh.
I wonder what the pull weight on it though. I wonder how like strong that bow actually is. Like what the pull weight on it is. Like obviously, like it seems pretty decent, but if you actually use it, let's see if it actually has it. Any LB on it? Does it have any? No, it doesn't have the strength on it at all. So you can actually like watch you get it though, and it's extremely weak of like a bow. It doesn't have like much drawing power.
It's
like
45 pound draw.
That's not bad. That's all right. That's pretty good for like hunting small game and stuff like that as well. If you need 45 is decent.
Yeah.
They recommend for hunting. They recommend 40 to 60 pounds.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. But you'll get away with 45.
Ooh, that tactical crossbow.
Hey, Canadian family, good to see you.
Hello.
Keep scrolling, Shadow.
Yeah, well.
Yeah. Another classic one there. The Zapp's survival grenade, and I was on about this sort of thing earlier. These
that is classic.
Kits you can buy, and for the average eye, the person who's not sort of savvy as to what's good and what isn't, they'll look at these bits of kit and think, well, it's all self-contained survival kit and it's all in one. It will save me the hassle of researching and buying my own gear.
Look how many items it has.
And yeah, it's got a number of items in there. They all look, it's got this and that, but each individual items, are they actually any good? They're probably
right.
And they have first 24 survival kit.
In a situation though, like if you're in a really rough stickler, right, and you have nothing, like say for example, you guys are familiar with the Alone series, right? If you had to give somebody in the Alone series like one of those packages, even if they are one of the rubbish ones, it's a life changer. Like if you're living out there and really racking it like hard and bushwhacking, and you come across, even if it's a garbage, the most useful garbage, like cheapest survival kit, it'll definitely have items in it that to recreate those items where you are in the wilderness would be extremely hard. So even though they might not be the best quality, like what's that whole saying though? The knife you have is the best knife available. You know what I mean? Like that's the best knife
because you actually have the resource.
Guardian, what do you say about this survival bike then? That suits you, buddy.
It really that's exactly what I'm saying now. Imagine not having that and then stumbling across that, right? Any of us in a situation. That would be a lifesaver so much fun.
That's a moped. Survival bike.
It differentiates it at the moment is we've got the choice of selection at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
Utility tubes.
Subin X survival staff.
Yeah.
I have that book.
Yeah, I've got the Bushcraft 101 as well.
Yeah.
So the Dave Canterbury book, yeah. Another survival grenade. Here we go. There's a good market for those.
Compact folding survival bow.
Yep.
I think that is the SAS.
Yeah, SASS. Well, I mean, yeah, exactly what Guardian says there. if you were to have that in a survival situation, then you'd make use of it.
Okay. This is ridiculous. Firearm mounted axe heads. What?
Well, if there's a zombie
Yeah,
in the face of a zombie apocalypse horde,
absolutely.
why not?
Yep. If you run out of ammo, you can use it.
Go with style.
So there's two scary things just on the side. So I don't know if you guys know that OpenAI, obviously one of the biggest companies when it comes to AI development, recently disbanded their risk team, right? And the fact that they've disbanded their risk team should cause people a lot of concern. Not only that, but the way that things are going with general AI, if we reach that precipice of technology, the capability that people will have to create zombie viruses if they wanted to. And I'm not even kidding about this. Like the assistance that medicine and technology have when they can be assisted by the minds of AI and the way that AI can develop things so much quicker. And like, if you look at last year's technology in AI compared to like where we are now, I don't mean to get like too far down that rabbit hole, but if you think about the capabilities, like it just takes somebody having like a bit of a rogue AI, experimenting with like the wrong type of bio stuff, and you end up with, I'm not saying that zombies are going to come, that's not what I'm saying, but I'm saying that it does become more likely the more that technology advances.
Mm-hmm. That's right. Yep, very true.
What's up, Second Star? Good to see you, bro.
What's up, Star?
Hey, Second Star. Yeah, I mean, there's a couple of those websites knocking around, and they're entertaining to look at. You know, you might want to buy someone a present for a birthday, Christmas, or whatever. But I wouldn't go to those websites. You're probably better off.
Yeah, because I see the what is it? Red Feather canned butter from New Zealand.
Right.
I'm ready to buy some of that.
I gotta try it out.
Exactly. Got to try it out.
Well, buy one and try it, and if you don't like it,
for $30 a can. Yeah, $30 a can.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah,
Ooh.
$29.99 a can.
Yeah, you can't. I just can't justify that sort of stuff.
That's about 300 in my currency. Oh Lord, that was expensive butter.
Yeah, I'd rather go ahead and make my own ghee.
So you might get to a situation where people saying, right, you know, you've got what you need. You've got a list of good to haves. Do you buy more food to extend your food or water situation, or do you buy more specialist equipment? Could be another sort of dilemma to get into.
Right. I'd rather go with food and water.
Yeah. Back to basics.
I agree. Back to basics.
And you can also identify gaps in what you've got as you go along, and you're assessing what you've got. You've used what you've got. You're training with it. You've established what breaks easily, what doesn't, and stuff like that. Identify gaps in your existing equipment and stuff that may that fill that sort of that demand. I mean, this sort of thing goes on all the time in the army and stuff. We used to call it UORs, urgent operational requirements. So all the planning that's gone on before deployment, you know, people have deployed out to, let's take Afghanistan, for instance, deploy out to Afghanistan. We've trained on all the gear. We've been using all the gear for years and years and years. And we deploy out to this not necessarily unique situation because Iraq was going on beforehand. And then through the actions of the enemy, freak weather, and so on, a capability gap crops up. And a requirement comes along in which no one has foreseen. So they put in something called a UOR, an urgent operational requirement, and they procure that equipment through the chain and it gets delivered. So identifying capability gaps is key, and being able to roll along with it as well. And you can only sort of realistically determine these sorts of things through using your gear, training with your gear, and breaking it out, running it up and stuff like that. Because we can't think and cater for everything. There will always be uncertainties that come up. So identifying what can go wrong.
So for basic, a lot of the time, the simple things, right? So KISS. And a lot of the time when it comes to a lot of the bushcrafting that a person can do, you can experiment specifically if you enjoy, creating different stuff in your garden as well, using different cordage and just trying it out and using different like wood nails, trying different things and like experimenting with what works for you, for yourself, getting comfortable with that, building different like, there's a lot of, even today I was building a shelf for my daughter as well, and just like working with wood and just experimenting with the way that different cutting and wood can be. It gives you a little bit of an advantage when it comes to like actually using this stuff out there as well. So just like getting a lot more used to carpentry, and just there's a lot of courses that a person and stuff that you can look up online to just get like the basics done and like have a basic understanding for it.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah,
Exactly.
little knowledge goes a long way, definitely. And even some of the courses that I've been on in the past, for instance, they always start off with the basics, and they give you sort of a framework to build on when you leave. And if you want to pursue that and continue on and get more in depth on that, it's fine.
Yep.
DIY is a classic.
Yeah.
The more you do it, the more you get good at it. You know what tools to have on hand. You know what types of screws to get, as opposed to buying a huge multi-pack and you're not even using half the multi-pack. You always know you're going to go, your go-to screws are a certain size and stuff like this as a generic sort of thing.
And it's really fun. Like if you have the capability to get out there and to just do like some basic bushcraft as well and just experiment with it and just like get better at it over time as well. It's obviously like one of the most amazing things. To somebody like myself that really enjoys creating things and building, like it's really fun to just mess around and experiment with different like builds as well.
Yeah. I think one of the things I've seen quite a lot through watching various reading various articles, watching various YouTube channels and stuff like this, and is knives, the bushcraft knife, the survival knife, and this sort of stuff.
Yep.
Everybody wants to have the expensive bushcrafting knife or the expensive, skinning knife or whatever. And I bet you most people out there have actually got, Amora, cheap as chips. They're robust. They do the job.
Yep.
And I mean, I've got a selection of knives. I think the most expensive one I've got is a Condor Bushlaw knife.
Okay.
But I always go back to me Moras, which are a fraction of the price. They do the job and they're robust enough to do it. And knives are a classic example, really.
Yeah, and then most expensive I have is this one. This is the Falkniven A1. So
right, yep.
It's a good knife, but expensive. So has a good, decent blade.
Yep, right.
And this has not failed me at all. Yeah, it works perfectly. And I saved some money to buy it, so
right, that was your one. Yeah, okay. No, the thing I like about Moras, even the cheap ones. I mean, I like the Mora Robust. That's a good quality knife, and it stands up to the job, and it gets a bit of abuse and stuff. Is the size of the knife and how easy it is to sharpen as well. And for someone who, I mean, I don't practice bushcraft all the time, that sort of stuff.
Hey, Vanessa, good to see you, ma'am.
Hi, Vanessa Kitty.
It's easy to use. Handle, it's a good size for me. Easy to sharpen, and it can have a lot of it's a lot of error tolerance in it as well. That if you take a nick out of it or anything like that, it's easy to get back.
Mm-hmm.
Second star says that's the problem with most people that want to be preppers or understanding survival in general. They don't ever put themselves through real survival situations like limited food, water, gear.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I know my kids, everybody in my house hate it. I'll pick a random weekend day and say, okay, I'm turning off the electric in the house for the next 12 hours. And I'll go down and turn off the power to the house and say, okay, now what are you going to do? And my son got smart. He said, Dad, can I take one of the solar generators and plug in the Wi-Fi router and wireless router into it so we at least have internet? And I said, yeah, that's good. You figured it out. So yes, go right ahead.
Yeah, that teach them to think outside the box.
Yep, exactly. And we've got the small power banks that you can charge your phone with. We got tons of them around the house, and then all the kids are scrambling to find one so that they can plug their phone into it. Yeah.
Water filters. Water filters is another one. I know we'd like to think that we've got. We'd all like to have the all singing or dancing water filter that can make pure water, like the Lifesaver water bottle and the Lifesaver jerry can. Really expensive gear. They do the job really nicely, but you do actually need it. You could probably even get away with a Sawyer Mini, depending on what situation you're in, and you save yourself hundreds of pounds, dollars, krona. It's
Lifesaver jerry can costs here in Sweden about 3,500. So that would be around $350.
Yeah, expensive.
Yeah, expensive. Do you really need that expensive stuff? Well, in my opinion, as in my situation, I can't afford one of these because you need so many of them to stock up a lot of water. So for me, it would be too expensive to get enough of these Lifesaver jerry cans to get enough water stored. So that would be not financial. No.
I've thought about getting a Lifesaver jerry can, and one of the methods you could use, you could have 10 or 12 other jerry cans, and if you want to, you could always empty them into that one jerry can, and that the jerry can filter it for you. But it can be counterproductive, It's I don't personally need one, so I haven't got one.
Yep, same here. We have well water, and we have our own water source. But my big thing is, okay, if the power goes out, I have two means in which I can power my water pump, my well pump. So, and then if that doesn't work, we do have water. We prep water and all that, and then we know how to filter it, sanitize it, and all that. So, yeah, I get it.
I think with water, it's when it comes to making potable water, drinkable water, and so on, it's quite an easy decision. It's one of those things where you've got so many options to make water potable and drinkable. You can, the basics of it, you can make a fire and boil it. Simple as that. Or do you want to go down the route of getting a super elaborate multi-stage filter or reverse osmosis filter?
Distillation.
distillation, etc. So
yeah, and you actually need the water, the
it does
actual
give,
water.
yeah,
You
you
actually
do
need a
have
water
options.
source,
Do have
whatever it
options with
is.
water.
Yep. And we do have a reverse osmosis under the counter system in our kitchen. So under the kitchen sink, we also have a reverse osmosis filter.
Right. Yeah, it's quite a few levels of failure you can fall back on with water.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a good thing. I mean, another thing, first aid kits, for instance, first aid is probably one of the ones you wouldn't like to skimp on, because when you need it, you need it.
Right.
You know what
Exactly.
I mean? And I've not seen a decent first aid kit for sale on the high street or on Amazon or anything like that. Not one decent first aid kit. There all seem to be these token effort kits that always rely on future help. You have to ring an ambulance and stuff like this. And the ones that I've seen that really are good quality, they're just super expensive. So you're better off going to make them yourself.
We make our own.
Yeah.
Our own, what we call a BFAC, Vision Individual First Aid Kit.
Yeah, right.
And we source all of our stuff. One of our vendors is North American Rescue. So yeah, we don't skimp on the gear when it comes to first aid, for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, everybody should have a good first aid kit.
First aid, it depends on what level of preparedness people are actually aiming for. If they're aiming for a long-term scenario versus just a short-term, quick scenario, then there's various things to think about in terms of, even if most hospitals nowadays in Britain, for instance, are overwhelmed at the best of times. And if you can buy a first aid kit that will see you through a day, then, or, to get to hospital, then fine, you're at hospital. You might be waiting up to 2 days to get treated, but at the end of the day, you're going to get treated. If you're looking for longer term sustainment, wound management and care and this sort of stuff, then I think people have definitely got to buy their own gear. Buy bespoke items which aren't in packs that are already off the shelf. And that's those types of things when it comes to first aid, which there's so many elaborate pieces of gear out there which require training as well. They might look tempting to buy because you might need them. You might even come across someone who knows how to use the equipment. I mean, I'm sure we'd all like to have a defibrillator, and you can scale it down. You can go down the scale and look at the suture kits out there, for instance.
Yep.
We'd all like to have a suture kit, but A, do they know how to use it? B, have they got the anesthetics to cater for the wound they're trying to stitch up?
Yep.
Everyone's got this vision, I think, of stitching up its massive gaping wound with bones sticking out and all this sort of thing. And
I'll make it work.
You got to set the bone first before you can stitch it.
Can you imagine how much pain someone's going to be in without anesthetic?
Yep, absolutely.
One of those things that people take for granted big time, and anesthesia.
Yep, I agree.
And things like pulse oximeters, stethoscopes, all this elaborate piece of equipment that looks good to have, but what do they indicate and tell you? I mean, a pulse oximeter. I've got a couple of pulse oximeters. I'm sure many people out there have got one as well. Do you actually need it? What is the benefit of having one? If someone's oxygen levels in their blood are that low, you're going to be concerned about it. Then they're going to be demonstrating they're going to be heavy breathing and labor in their breathing anyway.
Yep.
So it's a comfort thing, really.
Yeah.
I suppose you can monitor someone in a long-term care scenario and when you're managing a situation, but yeah, it's all about balance, isn't it?
It is. The good thing for us is my better half is an RN. She's a nurse, so that helps a lot. And we actually teach the national Stop the Bleed course.
Yeah.
Trauma bleeding, wound packing, all that good stuff. So, yeah. Which I highly suggest everybody takes that particular class along with first aid and CPR and all that other good stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have CPR and I know how to handle an AED machine, which is a defibrillator. So
yes, AED.
Yep. AED is amazing. You don't do nothing but plug it on them, and it tells you what to do.
Plug and play.
And if you don't push hard enough, it will tell you.
Yep. Exactly.
Oh, second star.
Even a blind person can use an AED machine.
Second star says there, he goes, I broke my tibia on a live stream and I had to crawl back almost 3 miles to my car. I didn't think I needed any of my gear because I'd be fine.
Wow.
You got to tell that story, second star, next time you come on and stuff.
Yeah.
It's well, I mean, lessons learned. Everyone's got their sort of horror story as to various medical scenarios and stuff like that, and they've seen things. You got to learn from people's things, and
Yep, you got to have it on you when it actually happens.
Yeah.
Right, you have to be able to get to the resource.
Exactly.
It doesn't matter if you. Oh, I got this really nice bag, but it's at home, and I'm in the middle of the woods.
Yeah. No, I keep.
Might as well be on the moon.
Yeah, I keep what we call here in the States a get home bag that stays in my truck, and it's got everything in it, and I've got an extensive trauma kit that stays in my truck as well.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yep.
And another problem I was thinking, especially when it comes to first aid kits and gear, whatever, that some people, when they are told you need a first aid kit, they buy everything they can, and they have
100%.
The 25% of what they bought, they know how to use, and the rest of they don't know how to use. So they get overwhelmed. So, and do we really needed this or not? Well,
it's like dental first aid kits. I mean, we said before, there's nothing worse than having a dental emergency. The pain is horrendous, and it's a skill which dentistry, it's not an easy thing to identify what the problem is in some cases, not an easy thing to treat. And how many people have actually got an extensive dental first aid kit? I mean, I've got a first aid kit for, I've got a dental first aid kit, but it's not at dentistry level.
Right. Same here.
Yeah.
I always say, well, if I got to pull a tooth in a grid down situation, I'm getting out the needle nose multi-tool and have somebody drink a fifth of liquor, and out's coming the tooth.
The worst thing possible. Like it's absolutely a nightmare situation. Like specifically if you have no capability to keep it clean properly, and it goes and gets like infected or something, turns into like the nerve is exposed in a situation, and it's just I think that there's a reason why sometimes the conversation will circle back down to like dentistry as well, because It's such an important thing. It's obviously the most pain that like a person really experiences when it comes to like any physical ailments. So it's definitely something that you've got to try and cover. And then like aside from like obviously having medical and first like your proper your medical aids and having like first aid kits, but medical your actual like medical training to get your courses done is extremely important. Just to have like your brush up and ready courses as well. And then something like when we're speaking about needs that really doesn't come up as often as you'd think is just having like a seed vault, a proper sturdy seed vault that lasts for a really long time with heirloom seeds in it as well, of plants that grow really well in your region. Because obviously after like food and water, like after water, food's an extremely important aspect as well to make sure that you've got covered. And if you tailor that correctly and make sure that it's in a container that's like air sealed as well, it can last for a really long time. And you'll essentially have like food that you can carry around. And then you take specifically the types of food that you've got there and you try and grow them in your garden and you see how they grow, what bugs as well you encounter. And then you can even work on like the counter to those bugs now while things are like still steady and stuff. So just having like we can go back on like the first aid topic as well, but just obviously having a really good seed vault is so freaking important. And just like getting one now while we can, and not only that, but Hendo in the comments earlier was mentioning the fact that everybody's going through a struggle when it comes to the economy as well, and it comes to inflation year after year. And having the capability to provide like food for yourself as well, and to cover that now so that you understand like how to grow food for yourself and for your family is just such like a blessing. Like if you like have if you actually try and enjoy it while you do so.
Yeah.
Yeah, being able to sustain yourself and keep going after your resources are run out. Short-term resources is definitely key.
Okay, folks, I'm gonna make an exit before preparing my turn here. This time around.
Same here. I do have to get ready to leave. Also, Shadow,
I get to charge my phone.
The same. Everyone's leaving like a sinking ship.
No. I said so. I said so in advance.
Yeah, see us first.
Leave at 10.
Anyways, it was fun, guys. It was fun. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, no worries.
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah.
All right. All right.
I feel like I should beat you guys to it though.
Yeah. And I do have to get ready to go. I gotta go pick up our son from work. Shadow,
Okay,
thank
no
you
problem.
for inviting me. You guys are awesome. I'm glad I got to catch the live and meet some amazing people from the other side of the earth. And I'll definitely be checking out your channels, folks, and everybody in the chat. You guys are intelligent. Keep up the good work.
No worries.
And do me a favor.
Well, I mean, these two above me. You mean, right?
Hey, all of you, and folks in the chat, if you have not hit the like button, please do so. It's actually free. Doesn't cost you nothing to do that. Hit the thumbs up. Also, share out the live. I shared it out on my channel. Share out this live because you guys are awesome. Shadow's awesome, as always, which I'm still working on our video, trying to get it to upload to my Patreon channel. It's still too big. I even cut it down to in 15-minute segments, and it's still too big. So,
wow.
And I know if I
That
put it
sounds
on
like a
YouTube,
logistic nightmare to edit that one.
yeah, and I know if I put it on YouTube, I'm gonna get a strike. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to edit it some more and see if I can compress it and change the format so I can get it uploaded to our Patreon channel. But thank you for allowing me to come up. You guys have an amazing evening.
No worries.
Okay.
Good chatting with you,
Take
Bridget.
care.
Yes, indeed. Take care, everybody. Stay
Take
safe.
care, Vanessa.
Roger that.
Yep.
Take care. Stay safe.
Yep. Then there was two. So let's have a look at some of the comments on here then. So we got
Is that a South African accent? I had two AK-47s.
I'd have two AK-47s minimum. Okay. I found more wood to build in my workbench leg frames. A store
That's
has
good.
a quarter sawn sycamore, but I wish some was flat sawn. What else we got here?
Likes versus my electric bill. Yeah.
Right. McBean's there. He's at work today.
Hey, McBean, good to see you, brother. Yeah. You need to work as well as we all have to do.
Yeah, I think when it comes to what people actually need, I think we've sort of hit the nail on the head. It's be sensible, have a balance of what you're going to, what you want to achieve, what your budget can cater for. That's got to be key, in line with your training. So that obviously negates people from buying stuff that they don't know how to use. Have enough redundancy there for you, good quality gear as much as you can afford, and then gradually as you go through your sort of preparedness journey or management routine or preps checks and all that sort of stuff, gradually upgrade things as you go along. And it's a lot, as we said, it's not a quick process, it's a slow process. And
Yeah,
people,
it's a slow process.
yeah, and as people go along, they suddenly, as they gain more knowledge, they'll realize what they actually don't need that they've never used. If you haven't used anything for 2 years, and if you're constantly practicing and training and reviewing your plans, if you haven't used anything for 2 years, I'd suggest you look at that item and say, do you actually need it or not? It's a danger when with preppers that the danger is we'll take it just in case, we'll buy it just in case we might need it. That's the danger. And you start falling into a trap of having every base covered, and you've got so many things you don't know where they are, you haven't used them in a while, they start to rot or deteriorate, and you actually don't really need all that gear. I've fallen into that trap quite a few times with tools, for instance. 3 or 4, 5, 6, 4 or 5 toolkits spread over different locations. You come to do a job, and you always revert back to Swiss Army knife, because it's at hand. You finish the job after you've cut yourself multiple times because none of the blades lock and none of the screwdrivers lock, and you trap your fingers. 3 or 4 days later, you walk into the other room and you find your toolkit on the floor. Why didn't I use that? Because you get lazy and you just pick up whatever's at hand to do the job because you're in a rush to go on to someone else.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes it could be handy just to have one toolkit, so you know that you go to one toolkit, there it is, done. You use that particular item. And you're not.
Venerable Owl has a good point here. Needs and wants really comes down to being honest with yourself and practical. And I have to agree with that.
Yeah. I think a lot of a big problem is avoiding being a victim of advertising. Impulse buying, people convincing you need one item over another. You've got to really question. I would adopt the mentality of don't buy anything that's put in front of you. You decide what you want to buy beforehand, and that will stop that sort of thing. But there's a lot of people out there who have become victims of advertising. A lot of people out there, salesmen, are good at telling you what you need, and they're convincing as well. Convincing to the point of by the time they leave the room, you're convinced that you need that item, you can't live without it. Right, yes, the second star brings up another good point there. So I just read Vanessa's out there. Anyone make bow saws with several blade styles to saw timber. Yeah, I've got a bow saw and I've got several spare blades as well. I used it the other day actually to cut down when I was removing a tree stump. So yeah, that's one sort of indication of having something just in case you need something. And I did actually use it. But yeah, I need to buy a brace, bits, palm brace, and such to manually drive holes. Okay, yep. Yeah, I was going back to that second star comment there. It says people are scare buying. Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's another thing that people, when I say people are victims of advertising, they're also victims of their own sort of habits. There's a lot of scaremongering that goes on out there. And like I said, a lot of people, they scaremonger for various reasons. And one of the reasons, especially on YouTube, is they want more views and they want to hook people on the next sort of scare story because they create the impression that they got some sort of secret insider knowledge, or they have a friend that works in a department that knows something and they're going to get the heads up on something. So, my friend in Japan says there's a new virus striking everyone down and the news aren't talking about it. So you better go out now and buy all the masks or the remedy, which is something that no one knows about and it's an essential oil and all this sort of stuff. So next thing you know, people are believing this sort of thing, want to get the heads up, and they want to get the jump on people. They go out and buy the stuff that their friend or whoever has recommended, and they sit back and think, right, I'm sorted now. Well, I'll wait for the rush on these items, and nothing happens. And they may have just completely wasted their money, Yeah, that's another valid point that Hugo brings up there. Be sure not to go into debt to prep. It can be very tempting to get into the mindset of thinking that if you're not going to get something dire is going to happen. So sometime I think of, adopt the mindset of, how did they get on the Second World War? They coped with it all right. They're still living. Parents are still all right. And you talk to parents these days about preparedness, preppers, survivalism, emergencies. I think most of them will just say, we're still here. We didn't do any of this sort of stuff. We had our backup of food and water and all sort of stuff. We didn't have the need to buy numerous power banks, generators. We just got on with it and this sort of stuff. And that was a mentality back a while back, get on with it, make do and mend and all this sort of stuff. And there's an element of that that's sort of gone these days, not only through mentality has changed, but there's also an element that the products these days are not as good as they were before. They didn't make them as they used to make them. Yeah. Idaho says one thing I think about is older individuals. A decade ago, they were fully functioning and contributing greatly. They produced and preserved a lot of food and taught others. So when SHTF, are they thrown out? Right. Yeah.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. Yeah, and another point there, Vanessa. Those fearmongers, they're most likely have never traced fear ever. Yeah.
Fear ever. Yeah, that's true.
I think if people got the ability to visualize a sort of disaster that they're going to be faced with, for instance, then that's a good way of a good sort of thought process to go through to determine what is actually needed, what nice to have and an essential. So let's say you're preparing for, I don't know, whatever it is. You're preparing for something to happen that means you go into a bunker. whether it be a tornado or hurricane shelter or whatever. You got all this elaborate gear. You go into your tornado shelter, close the door, and you all sit there looking at each other. Did you actually need that you bought? Did you actually need this that you bought? And so on and so on. You know, so the key thing is visualizing the scenario. What could happen is would be a good practice to do. They'll probably come back to all the essentials, the basics that we said: food, water, first aid, warmth, shelter, communication. And then as time goes on, you can start getting more. The subjects will start to increase, like defense and stuff like this.
Yeah.
Like we said, you know, if you want all the bases covered, all the ticks in the boxes done, then you need a lot of space, a lot of collaboration, a lot of support, a lot of money, a lot of storage. But you can get away with most of it by having a good, you know, covering the bases: shelter, fire, water, food, security, communication. And it's not up to one person in the family. You can divide the responsibility up. One person in the family could be the cook. One person's in charge of communications and security, if you like. One's in charge of morale, and so on and so on. Yeah, I mean, Hugo says that growing, preserving, and stacking all this food is hard work. People need to prep because it's too much work to share with lazy people. Yeah. I mean, even looking after your food preps is quite a big task. Say you've got say you got 3 to 6 months worth of food, for instance.
Yeah.
You've got to come up with some sort of program as to you're going to check them every week, every month, every year, whatever. What you're checking for, what you're looking for, dates, the integrity of the food. Have you got the right food? Is it dehydrated? Is it canned? Is it boiling in the bag? Have you got the cookers and so on and so on? What type of cooker have you got? You're going to go for the cheap one or the expensive one? Can you afford it? Etc. etc. All right, so what the second star say? I ran into a heart surgeon and a lawyer were at Walmart making survival bags because they watched some survival show on the Weather Channel. Right. It was a wife and husband, and they wanted a 200-liter backpack. Is that right?
Probably.
Yeah, the uninitiated can fall into the trap of buying all this off-the-shelf pre-made gear. And I can understand if you got a family of 4 there who are 9 to 5ers, kids are at school, 2.4 kids and a dog, and you know they're working office jobs, for instance.
Yeah.
And they're not sort of savvy about the outdoors, or they've never been hiking, they're not that fit, for instance. And there's many people out there, you know, there's many people like this. And some sort of scenario is creeping over the horizon. It appears on TV. The next thing you know, they're starting to panic buy. What do we need? Who do they turn to? They either turn to the advice given on them through the TV, which are just sensationalizing and scaremongering, overemphasizing things, or they go onto sites like YouTube, or they consult credible sites like the CDC preparedness website and so on. And you then get caught into a trap of knee-jerk reactions. They're buying just things because, you know, many things for the sake of it, many things because they think they need it. They're not trained in it. And they just end up with a pile of stuff like the COVID scenario with the toilet rolls. Did they really need it? They wanted it. because everybody else wanted it.
Yeah. Venerable Owl says a true and honest self-inventory of what you can and can't do is a start. Then learn new skills and acquire those items if needed. Understand what disaster emergencies can realistically happen and where you are. Well, that's true. And I
Yeah.
agree with it.
Yeah. Getting out there has got to be key.
Yeah.
You can then establish, well, you can wind back the clock, as we said, do an assessment as to
Yeah.
what you're preparing for. That's your start point, your threat assessment, and then you can go from there. You can get, relevant, credible training from credible people, experts, consult with people like the fire departments. They'll know what's occurring in your neighborhood. They'll know the threats. They'll know what they regularly see. They'll be able to advise people as to what to get, or they can go on various websites that credible websites, government websites will tell you how to prep, what to get. I mean, a lot of people don't trust the government, but the government want you to prep. The last thing the government wants is to take extra responsibility, looking after people, spending extra money on extra people, and it's money and resources they are thin on the ground with to begin with. So they have got some credible information and some decent information on the relevant government websites. This information will be already researched and disseminated by credible resources, subject matter experts. So consult that if as a starting point. And if someone is in the wilderness or in a place where you're pretty remote, then you can look at survival situations, survival training, bushcraft training. But I know this stuff does cost money. It's a case of prioritizing, which comes into another aspect of it. Do you spend money on physical goods?
Yeah.
Or do you spend money on training? Knowledge is power. And as Mors Kachansky said, the more you know, the less you carry, which is true.
Yeah.
But there are core items that cannot be replicated, and there are must buys. So the only way someone can determine this sort of stuff is if they get training, and a little training goes a long way. Even if you just go on there's plenty of prepper camps out there, bug out camps and stuff, and they do invite some credible people to these places as guest speakers and guest lecturers and stuff like this, and they do provide low-level training. I'd encourage people to go on them, or even if the whole family can't go on them, just one person in the family go, and they can act as the sort of train the trainer scenario. So they go to the father goes to the bug out camp, for instance, or the bushcraft camp, gains all his knowledge, writes all his notes down, comes back, and he runs his own family survival camp, family bug out camp from what he's learned. And that way, that's another cheaper way to do it, and that way is done by many armed forces around the world. The train the trainer scenario.
Yeah.
So there's nothing wrong with that, really. You just got to not sort of elaborate, but just teach what you've been taught, and don't deviate from the subject. Otherwise, they'll be going off at tangents and teaching the wrong things, and bad practices and skills come into effect.
Yeah.
Yeah, and exactly the same as Venerable Al says there, as many countries around the world, there's not enough police and first responders in communities to go around.
I
People
agree
got to
with
understand
that.
this. There's one thing that we here in Britain are starting to see more of, and that's community responders. And these are volunteers who have been trained. They get an element of training. They get a dedicated National Health Service phone, and they're responsible for a 6 mile radius of where they live, and they're on call. So if anything happens within a certain level of call out, category 1, category 2, for instance, they'll pick up get a call, go to such and such address within 6 mile radius of where they are, and they'll be there initially before, say, an ambulance turns up, or in lieu of an ambulance, and they can deal with it. That's coming up more and more. Another one which is indicated there, MREs.
Yeah.
I mean, we'd all like to have a load of MREs, but they are expensive.
They are.
You know, they make a nice little sort of goodie pack to open up, and you know, it's a bit of a novelty for people who haven't sort of eaten MREs and stuff like that. But they're expensive, and do you really need them? No. So you could quite easily, quite cheaply replicate an MRE pack at a fraction of the price they cost, and they're just as effective. So another example of gear. It's all gear, basically. It's all gear orientated, isn't it? What do you actually need? Yeah, people are wimps. Yeah.
Yeah.
People aren't used to, they take too many things for granted, over entitled, selfish, sanitized. We live a sanitized way of life these days. You know, you only have to go back 40 years. Here in Britain, for instance, there was no bathrooms really 40, 50, say 50 years ago. in the 50s and 60s, there was just that. I'd say from the pre 1960s, bathrooms weren't a thing. Outside toilets there were tin baths. You know, having a bath once a week was a thing. These days, people taking 2 showers a day. Yeah, it's not. I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but I'm saying a bit of a response to a comment there saying people are wimps. They were a lot hardier back then, and people learned to get on with things back then. Yeah. We definitely become softer, I think. Yeah. We've taken for granted too many things, and we're too accustomed to it nowadays. Heating.
Yeah, and we get we are so used to have those modern comfortable things like electricity and water that come up from the tap and everything.
Yeah. Get up in the morning, turn, you know, press a button, the heating comes on if it's not automatic. Like you say, turn the tap on, hot water. Yeah.
Venerable Owl says knowledge is lost in the course of 1 to 2 generations. So, yeah, I can believe that.
Yeah. I think we all know we've all got it in us to survive. We've just lost our way a bit. And for that reason, we'd like to have the gadgets and stuff that will make our life easier. But you're talking, you know, loss of power, where, you know, all it takes is a big solar flare to wipe out the grid. We're back to the Stone Age literally in a couple of years.
Yeah.
As things sort of deteriorate, diminish, erode, and so on, wear out. So,
and I think most through the years we lose more and more of the survival skills we had
Yeah. I mean, these days,
Yeah.
you talk to someone about survival, and they look at you funny, and it's classed as like a hobby, an outdoor skill, something that people only do in the wilderness, and it never gets taught in schools. You know, if your kids are only probably exposed to it if they're part of some Cubs or Scouts or anything like this.
Yeah.
So it becomes a bit of a specialist niche subject, really, in practice, and one that we definitely lost touch with. But we can also all be thrust into that situation at any moment.
Yeah. And why we lose that knowledge is because we are so urbanized that we have so many things that helps us that we basically don't need those skills.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying we don't embrace technology, but you could be put back decades instantly.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that, Hugo. They will realize that when it's too late. Those of us who could teach them will be busy surviving in an SHTF. No time for teaching lessons to people. I agree with that.
Yeah. Too late once it's happened. Too late once it's happened.
Yeah.
Should have got the essential
And
gear.
yeah. And most of the time when it's too late, people realize, hey, can you teach us? Can you teach us? That
Yep. Yeah. You can't beat training. Getting the right training.
yeah.
The right practices, practicing the skills you've got. And then you'll realize what you actually need, and you can then determine separating the junk from the actual good stuff. But yeah. Having said that, as Guardian said earlier, you'd be thankful to have any equipment if you didn't have it. So, likewise, any items you have got is there's no such thing as a single use, throwaway item in SHTF. Right, I've got to shoot off, Shadow. That's my time, and I don't know if CR is coming back at all.
I have no idea. I don't think so.
Ah, right, okay, no worries. But yeah, been a good chat, some good suggestions and comments and stories from the comments section
Yeah,
there.
I agree with that.
Yeah, right. I'm gonna have to shoot off, and I'll catch you in a while, Shadow.
Yeah, will do.
Right, see you in a bit, and good luck to everyone.
Yeah. Take care. Take care, Petey. And thanks for stopping by as usual. I learned from a medical prepper guru to tie a tourniquet to your chainsaw when you would need it. Okay, that sounds odd. Does that work? All of the old school preppers and survivalists that did are too old to teach anymore. I agree with that too. Fall off a ladder and you may not be able to help others help you. I agree with that too. That happened before and it will happen again. He explained the common sense thought that if you need a tourniquet, you can't walk 200 yards to get one. I agree definitely with that. I thank you, Venerable Al. I appreciate it, and I'm glad you enjoyed it. You're very welcome. Have to go. Need to start making dinner for Mom. Have a great rest of the weekend. Okay. Take care. Prepare for the ages. Stay safe. And God bless, my friend. I'm dropping trees. Okay. Was supposed to rain but passed me by, so cleaning animal cages and listening. Yeah, you have to do that too. That doesn't clean itself. Even if it would be fun. Self-cleaning cages. That would be something. That would definitely be something, CB. We will probably have rain almost all day on Monday. So that would be nice. If you're a praying person, I would appreciate a little prayer. Got some stuff going on and waiting for news. Okay, no problem. I hope you get good news you are waiting for. That's awesome, Idaho. Well, I should actually put the tomato seeds in the ground, but I have 3 cats and I don't figure out where I can put them. So I need to figure that out. I have been pretty busy lately, so I a lot of things going around, so I forgot to put them in the seeds in the pots, but I think I'm going to do that. So, and I work next week, and after that I have 4-week vacation. That will be good because I can get things done. Me too, medical stuff and some other stuff. Life always gives you lots all at once. I agree with that, Hugo. Definitely. Life is as it is. Sometimes it comes little here and little there. That happened to me as well. That happened to me as well. It actually not sad on the plants. Well, my kid did that once, but my cat lay down in it, so made a nice little bed for me. But that was many years ago now, if I remember correct. Now, bro. Hey, Amy. Good to see you. I try to keep my dogs out of the raised beds for that reason. They are just trying to cool off. Yeah, that's a problem. You have cats, dogs. It's hard to have some plants around. You need to figure out how to protect your plants from being sat on or laid on or eaten. The chickens are my nemesis. They tear up and eat my plantings. They are basically jerks. We have a love-hate relationship. Oh yeah, I bet you have, CB. I bet you have. Yeah, chickens can go everywhere and eat basically everything. Even if chickens are nice to have because they give you eggs. Lucky I don't have any chickens. It's hard when you're living in an apartment. It would be funny to record me talking to my chickens. I am usually scolding them. Yeah, I bet you do, Hugo. I bet you do. That would be a funny video. Definitely. Let's see. Everyone days they are smart. Apparently, I get the dumb ones. Yeah, says. Okay, thanks for that correction. Well, chickens are chickens, and they definitely have their own personalities. No question about it. But if I had the space, or um, or a house, I would probably have chickens, mostly for the eggs. There may be some words said that are not YouTube appropriate. No, well, in that case, you have to put a beep to mask that. But you are probably, yeah, your bunnies are really cute. How are they doing, Huga? I hope they are doing good. Hey, Ada Glance, good to see you. How are you doing, Ada? I hope you are doing good. And I already set up the next week's live stream, actually. So, oh, that's good. I have a bunch of baby buns. Good. I had set up the next week's stream, so I don't need to think about that. And the topic for next week would be how to deal with strangers. So that will be another interesting topic. Glad to be here with you all. Seen better days. Fractured my wrist now. I gotta keep it in a cast for 3 weeks more. Oh boy. Yeah, I broke my foot on 2 places, and I had to go 6 weeks in cast. That was not fun. And I have 3 titanium plates and a titanium wire in my left foot. They are happy. They eat good this time of year, straight from the garden. That's good. Keep them happy. frozen water bottles and fans, and they are fat and happy, as they should be. What's the topic next week? How to deal with strangers. Actually, I got the idea from another channel. So I thought that would be a good topic. Yeah, I know the feeling. Been there, done that, and that was not fun. I also have a quail. I want to expand now that I have more land. Yeah, that sounds like a good idea. I had surgery on my foot, waiting on cancer results. Okay. Yes, CB, that is definitely a good topic. We'll get into that in more detail next week. So I'm looking forward to that, definitely. I have been one step ahead of cancer for a while now. No problem, CB, no problem. Yeah, and I will go in more detailing on that topic. So that will be an interesting chat, interesting talking, and interesting point of views, obviously, as well as it usually gets. I agree with that. CB, you always contribute to my live streams and my topics. You always contribute, my friend. You always do. You always have good ideas too. But anyway, I think that will be a really interesting because the channel gave me the idea is a channel called Reliable Prepper. Very good channel, by the way. And he had a topic on one of his videos, how to deal with strangers in a bug-in situation. So I mentioned to him that he just gave me an idea for a topic for my live stream. And he said, oh, cool. I'm happy to give that I could give you an idea for a topic for a live stream. So there we are. But anyway, I think that will be really interesting. And I think there will be a lot of thoughts, a lot of ideas. But anyway, he's with you. So on today's topic, I feel the money aspect greatly influences my needs versus my wants. Yeah, I agree with that. I can see what I can do, CB. Hey, Howie, good to see you, brother. How are you doing? I hope your week has been good for you, brother. And I hope your garden doing well. It's good to see you, Howie. Good to hear, Howie. Good to hear. Everything is as it should be. I think you can continue to add in expensive stuff while you keep an eye out for the opportunity to acquire the more expensive preps. That is how I do it, things. Or at least try to do. If I can't afford the more expensive things, I buy, get the things that are less expensive or cheaper. I use it until I can save up some money to buy the other thing, more expensive ones. There is so much prepping that most of us just work with what we have access to. Very few people have everything. I agree with that. I definitely agree with that. I am buying some sockeye salmon from the fisherwoman, because there are 3 boats and some have spotted prawns. Okay, that sounds cool. People have access to different items. I agree with that as well. I need to organize my stuff. Got a whole bunch of bags and I need to sort them out to have only 1 to 2 bags for bug out brag. Yeah, that sounds like a good idea. No, not really. Welcome back, Venerable Owl. Good to see you again. Yeah, that's another thing. Stay hydrated. I try to, but it's not easy. Okay, Howie, thanks for stopping by. I appreciate it. Go and get your seafood. That sounds good. Hot and humid here. Missed the storm, but got the humidity. The heat, I don't need that heat. Oh. It's definitely hot here. Yeah, it will be around, 14 degrees Celsius. Too hot for me. I prefer below 12 degrees Celsius. Knowledge of what is useful is important. Then if you get the chance to get something, you can jump on it. I agree. Definitely. I don't have any heat tolerance at all. My heat tolerance is minus. Hey, K. McKee. It's definitely hot. I've been outside since 9 a.m., cutting grass, taking breaks, and getting stuff done. We have fireworks here tonight, so no rain is good. Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, taking breaks is essential. I definitely agree with that. I got about 2 more hours of work outside. I'm definitely tired and a bit sunburnt. Oh Lord, that's why I always wear long sleeves. In my case, a hoodie. I don't like the sun on my skin. It feels like someone used a blowtorch on me. Yeah, you prefer the heat than the cold. When is vacation? Where are you going? Actually, I will be at home. I'm not going anywhere. I work next week, and after that, I have 4 weeks of vacation. So, I'm staying at home. I'll maybe do a camping trip. Push mower on a 2-acre lot, and it hasn't been cut for a while. Oh man, that's a lot of work. I don't know, Huga. When it's cold, I can put in more clothes, use heater, build a fire, but hot weather, I can't cool down. Well, it's a problem. That's why I have fans going on all 24/7. Hmm. Hope everyone is having a good weekend. I sure am. Yeah, my weekend will be pretty good. Stop to watch the NASCAR Xfinity race, then back to work. Okay. Yeah, Canadians have on Monday, and the US has on 4th July. So. Yeah, it's your version of 4th of July. Yeah. Oklahoma, nice. Actually, I prefer the cold weather because that is easier to protect yourself. You can always put on more clothes, but when it's hot, it's more difficult. You can protect yourself from the heat in the same way as you can do when it's cold. And besides, I got enough sunlight for the next 3 millennia. I got to go home. I had to have a surgery, and they sent me home from the next 8 months. Oh, that's a long time, my friend. That is a long time. 8 months. Yes, Sarah. I know it's funny, but I don't need that much sunlight, actually. I had enough sunlight, actually, for the next 3 millennia. So I wish somebody can put me in a freezer with a tank top and a shorts and a beach chair and flip-flops. That would be nice and cool. While healing and getting work done around here. Yeah, you need to do some work at home. Especially mowing the grass and cut it down. The only thing that can save us in the heat is swimming pool and the shade. Yeah, that might work too. If the water is really cold. I usually fill up a bathtub with really cold water and I can take a really cold bath. That's really nice. For a couple of hours. Yeah. Nice cold bath. If the water is not cold enough, you have to put some ice cubes in it. That would cool the water down a little bit further. Yes, Venerable Owl, I know exactly what the next week's topic will be. How to deal with strangers. So I will get on that into that a little bit further next week or in more detail. And I got the idea from channel Reliable Prepper. He gave me the idea to do a live stream about it. He made a video. I watched that. The title was, if I remember it correctly, How to Deal with Strangers When Bugging In. I believe the title was that, something like that. And when I watched that video and from the beginning to finish, hey, that is a really good topic. And I told him that you just gave me an idea for a live stream topic. And he was happy that he could give me an idea for a live stream topic. Okay, watching ad. What is the ad about this time, CB? Well, everyone, I gotta go run and get off my feet as they are starting to act up. Looking forward to the next chance and chill. Hope you all have a great morning, afternoon, evening, or night. Thank you at a glance. Take care, stay safe. And I appreciate that you just stopping by. Pringles. Pringles, Ada. Okay. Well, Pringles works. But if you like potato chips. Take care, Ada. Take care and have a nice day and a nice weekend. And I hope you see you next week, Ada. I hope you stopping by then. So next week will be really fun. Okay, Ada. Good to know. Good to know. So next week's topic will be definitely interesting. So, well, guys, I think I wrap things up now. It's very late now. I have to go up in a decent time tomorrow because I have things to do. And then I'm invited for dinner in my parents-in-law's house, so at the afternoon, so I don't want to sleep on the whole Sunday away. That would be a mess. But anyway, guys, thanks for stopping by. I appreciate it. And I will see you guys in next week. Oh, thank you, Venerable Owl. I appreciate it. And I hope you have a great weekend. And I will see you next week. So take care, stay safe, stay prepared, and don't forget, be part of the solution, not the problem. And I am out.